The sky above planet Dralos was full of smoke. Broken ships lay scattered in the mud. The refugee camp looked more like a graveyard. Buildings were half burnt. People walked like ghosts, tired and hopeless. In the middle of the camp, a woman fell. To her knees. She was not human. Her skin was smooth and silver blue. Her eyes glowed softly in the darkness. Her clothes were torn, wet with rain. She held something in her hands, a small cloth doll. Her name was Shireen. She was a widow. Her husband died in the last war. Now she had only one reason to live, her daughter, Nia. But Nia was gone. She had disappeared 3 nights ago during a mutant raid. The guards were too weak. The power grid had failed. Some said Nia was taken. Others said she ran into the dead zone out of fear. Shireen didn't care what the others said. She knew her daughter was still alive. She felt it in her bones. But no one would help. They all shook their heads. "It's suicide," they told her. "The dead zone is full of monsters," they warned. "Even soldiers don't go there." Still, she waited in the center of camp, crying, begging, whispering her daughter's name into the wind. Then, a human walked by. He looked tired too, but not broken. His jacket was patched up, his boots old but strong. He had a rough beard and hard eyes. A gun hung on his back. Shireen crawled forward, her voice weak. "Please, sir." He turned, frowning. "What is it?" She pointed to the smoke in the distance. "My daughter, she's out there, lost, alone." He looked at her silently. She trembled, her voice shaking. "I know. I'm nothing. I have no credits. No food. No power to offer you." The man was about to walk away. Then Shireen did something no one expected. She lowered her head, pressed her forehead to the mud and whispered, "If you bring her back, I'll give you everything, even my body. I don't care what you do with me." The man froze. Other people nearby turned and stared, whispering. But Shireen didn't care. She had lost all pride. Only her daughter mattered now. The man stepped, closer. "Stand up," he said. She looked up, confused. He didn't look angry. He didn't look excited either, just serious. "I don't want your body," he said. "I want to know why you believe she's still alive." Shireen held out the doll in her hand. "She dropped this at the edge of the dark zone. I found it yesterday. The thread is fresh. That means she was there." He took the doll and looked at it for a moment. "What's her name?" he asked. "Nia," she whispered. He sighed. "My name is Jace Rourke. I used to be a space ranger. I've seen worse than dark zones." Shireen's eyes widened. "You'll go?" "I'll try," he said. "But if she's dead?" Shireen shook her head. "She's not." Jace looked around. No one else was moving. No one else cared. Just this one desperate alien mother in the mud. "All right," he said. "Give me a map and anything she might recognize." She handed him a small bracelet, blue crystal, warm to the touch. "She always wears this," Shireen said. "If you hold it near her, it glows." Jace took the bracelet and nodded. Then, without another word, he turned and walked toward the dark hills. The crowd slowly faded away. Shireen stayed on her knees, hands pressed together, eyes closed. She whispered her daughter's name over and over again like a prayer. That night the camp was quiet. Rain fell again. Some laughed at her. "She sold herself for nothing," they said. "She'll never see them again." But deep in her heart, Shireen knew something had changed. Because, for the first time in days, someone was finally looking, someone had listened, and his name was Jace. The storm ahead growled like a living beast. Jace Rourke adjusted his old jacket and stepped into the fog. The sky over the dark zone wasn't black. It was wrong. The color, twisted like bruises, and lightning crackled sideways, not down. Every step he took away from the refugee camp felt colder, heavier, like the planet didn't want him there. But he kept walking. In his hand, He held the small blue crystal bracelet the alien mother gave him. It was warm, faintly glowing. Sign. Somewhere ahead, the little girl, Nia, was still alive. Jace had seen death. He had fought in 3 Star Wars, hunted raiders in asteroid fields, and walked through fire on the moon of Saros. But nothing had ever looked like this place. The Dark Zone wasn't natural. Long ago, this part of Drelos was a peaceful farming area, but after the bombardments and the alien mutagen strikes, it changed. Now plants screamed when touched. Winds whispered strange things. And the creatures mutated, hungry, blind but fast. The map in Jace's glove flickered. Signals were scrambled. Out here. Figures, he muttered. Suddenly he stopped. A small piece of cloth was hanging from a thorny branch. A child's tunic. Purple with tiny stars on it. He grabbed it and checked the edge. It was torn but not old. She passed through here, Jace said to himself. He looked around. The ground was wet and full of strange tracks. Some were small, child size, but others. His eyes narrowed. Something had been following her. He moved carefully, following the prints. One boot in front of the other, rifle ready, eyes scanning every shadow. He didn't fear dying, but he hated the idea of failing. Not after what that mother offered him. Not because of her body, but because of her eyes. He had seen so much war, but never a face so full of love and desperation. He wouldn't let her fall apart. Suddenly, a sound, a sharp whimper, like a small animal, or a child crying. Jace crouched, holding his breath. He moved closer, through broken metal pipes and collapsed buildings. The sound came again, softer this time, like someone trying not to cry. Then he saw her. A small figure curled up under an old cargo crate, hugging her knees. Her skin was silver like Shireen's, hair messy, eyes glowing with faint light. It was Nia. Jace moved slow. "Hey," he said gently. "It's okay. Your mom sent me." The girl looked up fast, eyes wide with fear. She didn't speak. He pulled out the bracelet. It glowed brightly in his hand. "See?" he said. "She gave me this. To find you." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she didn't run, she didn't scream. She whispered one word. "Mama?" Jace nodded. "Yes, she's waiting. I'm taking you back." He reached for her carefully. That's when the ground shook. A deep growl came from the fog behind them. Jace pulled the girl into his arms and turned around. Something huge and fast was coming. The fog shifted. A massive shadow moved through it, tall, hunched, drooling black liquid. Its skin was cracked, its eyes were gone, but it smelled them. It screamed. Jace didn't hesitate. He ran. With Nia in his arms, he bolted across broken ground, weaving through wreckage. The beast charged behind them, smashing walls and howling like a storm. A sharp edge cut across Jace's leg, but he didn't stop. "Hold on tight," he yelled to the girl. She clung to his jacket, eyes shut, face buried in his chest. A broken tunnel appeared up ahead, half collapsed, dark but deep. Jace dived inside. The beast slammed into the outside wall and roared. Then it began digging. Inside the tunnel, Jace placed Nia down. She looked up at him. "Will we die now?" He looked into her small, innocent eyes. "Not today," he said. "Not while I'm breathing." Outside, the monster kept clawing. Stones fell. The air grew thin. Jace gripped his rifle and took a breath. He wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for a mother's last hope. The monster's claws scraped against the tunnel wall. Every strike made the ground shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sharp rocks dropped around them. Inside the narrow space, Jace pressed his back against the wall, his rifle aimed at the broken entrance. The alien girl, Nia, sat behind him, knees tucked to her chest, shivering. "Is it still out there?" she whispered. Jace nodded. "Yeah. It's not leaving. Outside, the beast roared again. It was sniffing for them. Maybe it couldn't see, but it could smell. Jace had faced things like this before. But never while carrying a child, never while thinking about the face of a mother waiting in tears. He turned to Nia. "Are you hurt?" She nodded. "My leg. Something bit me 2 nights ago." He checked. A small wound near her ankle. It looked red, swollen. "Damn," he muttered. "We don't have much time." Then he did something simple but powerful. He smiled. "But you're lucky. I've fixed worse." From his pocket, he took a small first aid capsule. It hissed softly as he sprayed it on her wound. She winced. "It'll sting," he said, "but it'll help." She looked at him strangely. "You're not like the others." "What others?" "The ones who passed by. They heard me cry. They left." Jace's face tightened. "They don't deserve to be called people." The sound outside grew louder. Rocks shifted. The creature was digging faster now. They had minutes, maybe less. Jace scanned. The dark. His flashlight flickered. The power core was nearly dead. He pulled out a signal flare, cracked it, and the tunnel glowed red. Then, just ahead, he saw something. A metal grate, half buried under rubble. Hope flickered in his chest. "Come on," he whispered to the girl. "There's another way out." He helped her crawl through the debris. His hands bled as he moved the sharp rocks aside. His back ached. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. As they moved deeper into the tunnel, the air changed. It grew colder. Wet. The walls were covered in black vines, pulsing like veins. Some moved slightly when touched. Nia froze. "These things, they talk sometimes." Jace raised an eyebrow. "What do they say?" "They tell you to stop running, to lie down, to sleep forever." He narrowed his eyes. Mind control plants, he'd heard rumors, never believed them. But now, "Nia," he said, "if they start talking again, cover your ears. Stay awake. Promise?" She nodded. The beast screamed again, closer now. The sound echoed through the tunnel. Jace smashed the grate with his elbow. It cracked again and again. Finally, it broke open. "Go," he whispered, pushing the girl through the opening. "I'll be right behind you." She crawled into the narrow pipe. Jace followed, dragging his rifle behind. As he entered, the wall behind them collapsed, the beast's claws ripping into the tunnel. But it was too big for the pipe. They were safe. For now. The pipe led them out into an open ruin, a broken bio-lab from the old war. Flickering lights still glowed on some walls. Dead vines hung from the ceiling. Strange machines sat covered in mold. Jace lifted Nia into his arms. "We'll rest here for a minute." She leaned her head on his chest. "You smell like old wind and metal." He laughed softly. "Best compliment I've had all year." Then she said something unexpected. "My mom always said, humans were dangerous, but you're not." Jace didn't reply at first. Then he said quietly, "Some humans are monsters, some aliens too, but there are good ones, like your mother." Nia looked up at him. "You like my mom?" Jace hesitated. "She's strong, brave. Most people would beg for food. She begged for you. That matters." Outside, the storm began to howl again. Jace looked toward the horizon. They had made it out of the worst part, but they were far from safe. The journey back would be longer, harder, and now, the creature would be hunting both of them. Still, Jace smiled, because now he wasn't alone, and neither was the girl. The storm had passed, but the land was still dangerous. Jace Rourke carried little Nia in his arms as he walked through the broken remains of the jungle zone. Trees were twisted, like bones. The ground cracked under every step. The sky above was still red, like it had been bleeding for years. But the girl in his arms was warm, alive. That was all that mattered now. She was weak and quiet, resting her head on his chest, her silver skin pale. The medicine helped, but her body was still shaking. She had barely eaten in days. Jace reached into his coat and pulled out a protein bar. "Here," he said softly. "Bite it. It's not tasty, but it'll keep you awake." Nia took it with shaking fingers and gave a small smile. "Tastes like sand." Jace chuckled. "That's how you know it's real army food." They walked for an hour through silence. Then the ground changed, harder, colder. Metal plates appeared beneath the dirt. "Old supply road," Jace muttered. "We're getting closer." But suddenly, a sound. Something clicking. Mechanical. He turned. Up ahead, four-legged machines crept from the shadows. Broken military drones. Their eyes blinked red. They had been guarding this zone since the war. Now they had no orders, just protocols. "Eliminate intruders." Jace quickly placed Nia behind a rusted wall. "Stay down. No matter what happens, stay down." She nodded, eyes wide. The drones turned toward him, scanning. Target detected. Unauthorized lifeform, prepare to neutralize. They fired. Jace rolled to the side. A beam of heat scorched the ground where he had stood. He raised his rifle and shot once, then twice. Sparks flew. One drone fell, spinning, but the others were fast. He dove forward, slid under a beam, and fired again. Metal cracked. Wires popped. But one drone was still standing. It leapt toward him. Too fast, too close. Then, a high-pitched scream. "Nia." She had stepped out from behind the wall, tears in her eyes. "Don't hurt him." The drone paused just for a second. It scanned her, small, unarmed, reclassifying, minor threat. That second was enough. Jace grabbed a steel rod from the ground and slammed it through the drone's chest. The machine sparked. Once, then dropped. Silence returned. He ran to Nia. "What did I tell you?" "You were gonna die," she shouted, crying. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "You can't help me if you're hurt too." She sniffed. "I just didn't want to lose you." Jace blinked. That was the first time she said something like that, not "Where's my mom?" Not "I'm scared." But "I didn't want to lose you." Something inside him changed. He lifted her gently. "Come on, just a few more miles." They walked into the evening light. Back at the camp, Shireen stood by the gate. Her knees were bruised, her hands bloody. She hadn't slept, she hadn't eaten. She kept staring at the horizon, her eyes red from crying. Every ship that passed, every voice that rose, she looked up, hoping, waiting. Other refugees whispered behind her. She's still waiting. Why does she trust a human? He probably ran off with the reward. But she didn't care, because in her heart, something still burned. A bond no logic could break. Then, a shout. Someone at the top of the camp wall yelled, "Wait! Movement on the road!" She ran. Her feet barely touched the ground. The guard raised his binoculars. It's him," he gasped. "He's carrying a child." Shireen pushed past the others and stood at the gate. Her heart stopped. Out of the red light came Jace, wounded, covered in dirt, limping, and in his arms, her daughter. Alive. The moment Nia saw her mother, she shouted, "Mama!" Shireen fell to her knees, arms open wide. Jace let the girl go. Nia ran as fast as she could. She fell into her mother's arms. Both cried. Both laughed. Jace stood, back watching. He didn't say anything. He just smiled. And slowly turned to walk away. But Shireen looked up and screamed, "Wait!" He stopped. She stood, holding her daughter tightly, shaking. "You saved her. You brought back my world." He looked down. "I told you. I didn't come for your reward." "I know," she whispered. "But now, I don't want to give myself." She stepped closer. "I want to give my heart." The campfire crackled softly. For the first time in weeks, Shireen sat without fear. Her daughter Nia was asleep in her lap, breathing gently. A warm blanket covered the girl's small body, and her hand clutched the crystal bracelet, the one that had brought her home. Across from them, Jace sat with his back to a broken wall. His wounds were cleaned, his coat was patched, his eyes were tired but still alert. He didn't speak much, he just watched the flames, silent. Shireen broke the quiet. "She's safe because of you." Jace nodded. "She's strong. She held on longer than most would." Shireen looked down at her daughter's face, then back at him. "When I begged you, I thought you'd laugh, or ask for more." He didn't look at her. "I've seen too many people suffer. Didn't feel right to ignore you." Her voice was soft now. "But why did you stay? Even after finding her? You could have dropped her and left." Jace shrugged. "Didn't want her to wake up alone again." Shireen smiled faintly. "You're not like the others." He looked at her now. Really looked. "You offered me your body," he said. "Why?" She closed her eyes. "Because in this galaxy, that's all most men value in women like me. I thought, if I give everything, maybe someone will listen." She opened her eyes again, full of pain. "But you didn't take it. You gave me back my child instead." Jace didn't speak for a long time, then he said, "You didn't have to give anything, you were already worth more than that." Shireen's lips trembled. For a woman who had been sold, ignored, stepped over by soldiers and traitors alike, his words hit deeper than any weapon ever could. She stood, gently placing Nia under a shelter, then walked toward Jace. "Will you stay?" she asked. He raised an eyebrow. "Here?" She nodded. "The camp needs someone like you. People follow you." Jace looked away. "I don't lead. I fix, I protect. That's all I know." "Then protect this place," she said softly. "Protect us." He stared at her, unsure. She stepped closer. "I'm not offering my body anymore," she whispered. "I'm offering trust." He looked into her eyes, and this time he didn't look away. "I'll stay," he said, not because she asked, but because he wanted to. The next morning, the camp felt different. People stood straighter. Some smiled, some whispered. "Did you hear? The girl was found. A human did it. She didn't sell herself. He didn't take her. He stayed." The guards asked Jace for advice. The old cooks gave Nia sweet bread. Shireen walked through the market like a woman reborn. For once, no one called her worthless. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Shireen found Jace fixing an old comm tower on the edge of the camp. "You really do fix things," she said, smiling. Jace looked down from the wires. "I told you." She reached up and handed him a small fruit. "Nia picked this for you. She said you're her hero now." Jace chuckled. "She's braver than I am." They stood together, quiet, watching the sky change colors. Then she whispered, "You don't have to be alone anymore." Jace turned slowly. Shireen's eyes were not pleading this time. They were offering something deeper than a body, offering family, safety, a new start. He didn't answer with words. He just nodded and smiled. The stars above planet Dralos blinked like cold eyes. Inside the refugee camp, life had started to move again. Small trade posts reopened. Children played. People lit fires at night and shared stories. But behind the smiles, shadows still lingered. Whispers spread like smoke. He sleeps near her shelter now. Maybe he owns her. Or maybe she trapped him. Shireen heard it all. She didn't cry. Not this time. Not after what she'd survived. But it still hurt. She sat alone near the fire that night, her daughter Nia asleep beside her, and stared into the flames. The warmth didn't reach her heart. She didn't know Jace was watching her from the guard tower above. He saw the way her shoulders had dropped. He saw the quiet pain in her stillness. And he hated it. Later that night, Jace walked into the common shelter. The few who were awake looked up. They still didn't fully trust him. A human man with no chain, no master, no reason to stay. To them that was strange. Dangerous. He stopped in the center of the room. "I need to say something," he said, all eyes turned. "I'm staying here because I chose to. No one owns me. No one offered me anything I didn't refuse. That woman, Shireen, didn't beg for herself. She begged for her child." He took a breath. "And when the rest of you ignored her, I didn't." Silence filled the room. He looked at each face, calm but firm. "She doesn't owe me. If anything, I owe her, because she reminded me of what I almost forgot, that we're still human, even on dead worlds." Then he turned and walked out. Shireen was still near the fire, wrapped in a blanket, when she heard footsteps. "Rough night?" Jace asked. She didn't look up. "I hear them. Every day. Every whisper." "You don't have to answer them," he said, sitting beside her. "Let them talk. They don't know truth." She looked at him now, her eyes tired. "They think I used you. You didn't. They say I gave myself too cheap. You didn't give yourself at all." She looked down. "But I wanted to." That made him pause. "I wanted to give you something, Jace. Anything, because you gave me back my heart." Jace stayed quiet. Then, softly, he said, "You gave me something too." She looked up, confused. "You gave me someone to protect again," he said. "You gave me peace." They sat in silence for a while. The fire cracked softly beside them. Nia stirred in her sleep and mumbled something. Jace smiled. "She talks, in her sleep." "She dreams of you," Shireen said. "She calls you Starman." He raised an eyebrow. "That sounds cooler than Jace." Shireen laughed quietly, for the first time in a long time. Then she turned to him, serious now. "Do you ever think of leaving?" He looked at the stars. "Every day. But then I see you two, and the thought disappears." Shireen took his hand, not as payment, not as a deal, but as something real. "I don't want you to go," she whispered. "Then I won't," he said. And for the first time, neither of them felt like survivors. They felt like something else. A beginning. Morning came slow on planet Dralos. Golden light touched the camp, turning the broken walls and tents into something softer. Smoke from cooking fires rose into the sky. For once there was no screaming, no begging, only quiet voices, simple smiles, and the sound of life beginning again. Jace stood near the edge of the camp, sharpening a blade. He had been up since dawn. Not because he had to, but because that's what protectors did. He wasn't a visitor anymore. This place, strange as it was starting to feel like home. Behind him, Shireen walked up with 2 cups of hot broth. Her silver blue skin shimmered in the morning light. "You don't have to stand guard," she said softly. "No one's attacking." "Maybe not today," Jace replied, taking a cup. "But I like watching the sunrise." Shireen smiled. "You used to watch it alone, now you don't have to." He took a sip and looked at her. "I know." She stepped beside him, standing close but not needing words. Then came the sound of little footsteps. Nia ran up, a flower crown in her tiny hands. "Look," she cried. "I made it for Mama. But you get one too, Starman." She placed one on Jace's head with a giggle. He pretended to groan. "Now I look like a glowing bush." Nia laughed. "You look like a hero." And in that moment, he believed it. Later that day, a ship landed on the edge of the zone. A galactic officer stepped out, armed, clean official. He came to the camp to review its status. He looked at the people. The rebuild. The order. "You the leader?" he asked Shireen. Before she could answer, Jace stepped forward. "No, she is." The officer blinked. "A woman? Alien, no less." Jace's hand rested near his weapon. Shireen raised hers gently. "Peace," she whispered. "Let him speak." The officer looked around again. "Well, we'll send proper aid next week, if things stay this peaceful." Before leaving, he turned back to Jace. You could have left. You had no reason to. Stay. Jace just smiled. I found one. The officer raised an eyebrow. One what? But Jace didn't answer. He didn't need to. That night, the camp danced. Music made from scrap metal and joy echoed under the stars. The children played. The adults swayed. Even Nia danced in circles, pulling Jace and Shireen into her fun. Jace didn't remember the last time he smiled this much. He had walked through war, through storms, through blood, and somehow, at the end of it all, he had found this. A mother who believed in him, a child who trusted him, and a place where his heart could rest. Later, under the stars, Shireen took his hand. Do you know, she whispered, when I first saw you, I thought you were just another shadow? Jace turned to her. And now? She leaned in closer, eyes shining. Now I think you're my light. They kissed, soft and slow, not from desperation, not from a deal, but from something born after pain, built from fire and shaped by trust. The galaxy would go on with its wars, markets, and laws. But in one quiet corner of a broken world, a man, a mother, and a child lived not as parts of a deal, but as a family. And that was more powerful than any weapon Jace had ever held. Because home, he realized, was never a place. It was them.